Welcome to Tesla Field Physics. In this video, I'd like to show you how the whole glitter conspiracy is tied directly into all those drones that everybody's seeing everywhere, especially over New Jersey, because there's only one place that they make glitter, and that's New Jersey. I guarantee the governor and higher people up in office know exactly what's going on. They're just not saying anything. So this ties into metamaterials. And when people are seeing these drones or these craft go into the water, that would mean that these craft are transmedium. And the only way that you can do that is by using these exotic materials. These exotic materials are being purchased by private military contractors, and that's what you're seeing flying around. So this links into the whole MH370 investigation that Ashton Forbes is doing, because from this YouTube channel that I'm about to play some clips from, he was sent a letter that this channel produced on one of their videos from a supposed whistleblower from Diego Garcia that talks about the whole operation with what happened with MH370 and how the orbs are working, and it mentions these metamaterials. So all this stuff is linked, and it's linked to Rogers City, Michigan too, because two of my friends seen 8 of these drones go into the water and then just sit there. But the story is pretty unreal, because this YouTube channel dropped a letter to Ashton Forbes one day before my birthday, on January 8th, 2024. So the other weird thing is that it's called Real Creepy Stories, or RC Stories. RC stands for Rogers City, Michigan. And the other weird thing is that this lady mentioned in this letter, her name's Patricia, and that's my mom's name. So I'm about to tell you a real creepy story from Rogers City. This happened at the end of this summer, 2024. Two of my friends, who 1 week before had just helped me to take a video from my camcorder and transfer it to a DVD. That video had these weird looking objects in the sky that I was recording back in 2023 here in Rogers City, in the time frame of when they shot down the so-called Chinese weather balloon, spy balloon thing. And I had gotten all these different videos that I had accumulated showing all these weird things that are in the sky. So 1 week after that, my two friends went down to Lake Huron, and I go to the beach with them once in a while, and they always go to the same spot. So my one friend, he was just sitting on his towel on the beach, and his wife was down by the shoreline. So they had two different angles at this thing, these things. What had happened was my friend thought he was seeing Canadian geese, because they were just flying in this V formation, coming straight at him over his head, over this tree line, heading toward the lake. And they were pretty low. He said when they got closer, he realized they weren't geese and that they were drones. He said that they were black and they were kind of shimmering, but they looked funny. And his wife looked up, and what she saw, she said she saw 8 individual drones. They looked like mini stealth, or like kind of like kite shaped. She said what had happened was they weren't making any noise, and they started converging from a V into a straight line. So they started flying in a straight line. They went about a quarter mile out over the lake, tilted vertically, turned into a cylinder, and then went down into the water. And then part of it was sticking up and part of it was submerged. She said then it turned white, or like an opaque, kind of transparent, and then they said it was almost see-through. But they could still see it was sitting there, and it wasn't moving with the waves. They didn't have a phone or a camera or anything to record it, so they just kind of watched it for about 2 hours or so. They left, and then they came back, and it was gone. So that is pretty much describing something using metamaterials. That's the only way that these transmedium craft can operate like that. And I'm about to show you how this whole thing with the glitter is being used. See, they're using this glitter factory as kind of like cover for what they're doing. So I'm gonna play you this video. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. Okay, so there's this guy, he's writing this letter to this lady, and that's how they put the story out. So I'm gonna play this kind of a little bit in reverse from how it is, but it just makes more sense to show you.
Dear Patricia, you are my last letter. I have now written about what I know to several people in Congress, the Department of Justice, the Inspector General, and our own Governor Phil Murphy
of New Jersey. So he's informed these people right at the top on what's going on, and they're in the know.
My doctor and some rather unpleasant test results informed me that my time in this realm was up, and the hospital bed I have occupied for the last few days seems to agree. I'm closing my books, and you are now a part of this man's sentimental ritual after a life of secrecy. I write this letter to you because you made my days brighter and filled my nights with pleasant imaginations. Oh, Patricia, you made me so worried. When I found out that you were working in the special unit, my heart sunk to my stomach. I could not contact you at work, and during that period, we all had our phones and correspondence monitored. I tried to bump into you to give you a warning, but the closest I got was your smile and a wave when we met in our cars at the gate. I heard about the incident and was terrified that you found out what you were enabling in your new role. I know that you would have protested, and with that, I know what they would do to you. When I, a few weeks later, heard you had gotten your old job back, I couldn't believe it. I asked Richard to check up on you. We were friendly, and he had access to your sections in the building. I needed him to confirm that you really were back. I don't know if you remember or even noticed at the time, but I sure made an effort to get your attention. I'm glad you made it out. We were never a glitter company. We are an advanced materials and precision company.
Boom. So he just drops that, and he says that that's the cap, is that this lady thought that she was working and managing this whole processing wing of this glitter factory. But he says that's not what they are at all. It's something completely different.
Noticed at the time, but I sure made an effort to get your
Listen again.
I'm glad you made it out. We were never a glitter company. We are an advanced materials and precision company. Our history goes back to the Manhattan Project in 1945. We solved the atomic bomb, and our accomplishments since then have not been less impactful. We are a manufacturer of impossible materials for the private military industry. We did nanomaterials long before 81, when the rest of the world just knew them in theory. And we produced the first electromagnetic metamaterials in 91, 14 years before the rest of the scientific community discovered how. And I want you to know that all of that is kosher. It's, let's say, in the realm of what is to be expected and accepted. The special project you were a part of was not.
Okay, so they're using electromagnetic metamaterials. That's how they're doing all this stuff with the plasma. Because when you start layering all this stuff, it starts creating this whole lattice structure, and that's where you get your interaction. So this is how this whole thing ties into MH370.
Welcome back, folks. We have received a letter from the researcher Ashton Forbes, who was the intended recipient in the earlier publication of the Diego Garcia story. We are happy that we could facilitate the communication, and we now need to do some clarifications in the name of journalism. Important to know, when you send us a story, you are guaranteed that we won't share it in any other way than the intended format. What we offer is for anyone to be able to share their story as a fictional radio theatrical production. As always, when you submit your story, you should use a good VPN and a throwaway email account. And we will publish your story in the confusing format of real made-up stories. Next, we want to clarify what elements of the Diego Garcia story that is creative freedom on our part. First, the original letter we received does not mention Diego Garcia by name. We found the name by Googling military bases in the Maldives. So let us be clear about this. In all publications on this channel, the script is everything and all that is original. The naming of an episode, the thumbnail, and hashtags are all clickbait. They are never a part of the letter. Second, the original letter was not fully in English. We used Google Translate and the writing software Grammarly to make the English version. This is not perfect, but it gets the message through, and that's what we care about. Third, all pictures and voices are AI, including me. This is to make sure that all publications clearly are fictional. No real people, no real voices or pictures. We are the perfect publication service for you who have great stories to tell, but can't because it would get you killed.
And that's exactly what I'm exposing. So I hope you appreciate what I'm doing here. It's not a joke.
Very wrong. And I will share his letter to me as it is. For you to understand the letter he sent me, there are a few things to know about glitter. First, all glitter in the world is made in one place, a small grouping on the east coast of the U.S., not China or India, all in the same area on U.S. soil. I think that might be important. Second, the security around everything relating to the production of glitter is crazy. I didn't really reflect on it at first. Everyone in manufacturing wants to protect their methods. But it was over the top, to say the least. In our case, the production line is in its own locked-off part of the building, and the people who work there have their own entrance and lunchroom. Lastly, the customers. Glitter is used in so many things. We have customers in the obvious industries like paints, arts and crafts, and cosmetics.
That's their cover buyers.
And lesser-known things like rubber factories in Asia, glass factories, and American building companies. Around 2010, maybe 2011, we started to get a bit stranger customers. Big accounts in medicine and technology that get special glitters that are packaged on their own separate lines. The packers need to wear protective gear, and you need to complete a course about how to work safely and how to put on and remove protective gear.
And that's what they're selling to these private military contractors for the metamaterials, and you'll see for other things.
This was something unexpected for us, and the volumes quickly became about the same as all of the more common customer types combined. From the outside, I think that medicine and technology are unexpected customers for a glitter factory. Well, it is. But then and there, it was good news and the company could grow. And then there is that last customer. It started at the same time, I think, in the beginning of 2012. We built a whole new wing on the building for this customer, and the packaging was fully automated, something fairly new and very expensive back then. They quickly became our biggest client that more than doubled our revenue and bought more glitter than all other accounts combined.
So that's pretty huge telltale sign on what's going on with this whole deal.
About the small space, and he answered that it was according to the customer's specifications put in place. Clean up. Another mopping all floors and walls. Standing inside the building.
So she's talking about.
I'm not a night shift worker, so I got back the next day to greet the afternoon team, and it was all the same.
She's talking about these people that are dealing with the glitter. The workers at the end of the line that are putting this stuff out for shipping. They're coming in contact with this stuff, and each time they change a batch, their mood is changing because it's interacting with how these people are behaving. So she's saying that they figured out like there's one that's making somebody happy or sad or angry. Basically, there's 3 things that it can do, which reminds me of how my orgone box works. Okay, my dielectric accumulator. What it is when Wilhelm Reich figured out what orgone was and how it worked, he started building these boxes. When you get inside the box, the first thing you have to do is wipe it down. So I wipe mine down with water and paper towels and clean all the inside plates, because it will build up this stuff called DOR, DORR, like a doorbuster. The DOR is the stuff that you don't want because it'll affect you negatively. So you have to wipe this stuff off and clean it. And this is the reason that when there's a tornado coming through, it seems to always hit trailer parks. Because what a trailer is, it's just a big orgone accumulator. And it's never fully cleaned. It's always going to have DOR on it. So that's why this phenomenon happens, where the tornadoes strike all these trailer parks, because it's got to build up of this DOR on it. And that's what you don't want. So this is how I think these materials are affecting the people's moods. And you're going to see they could be putting this stuff in anything.
2 young men and a woman. Same bit. More than 90 tanks and no issues. On Wednesday, I met the morning crew, older group, in their late 30s, but same feeling and same result. No problems. I could not have expected what was coming. The product was strange. Normal glitter, all glitter, looks pretty much the same. Different colors and sizes, but they all glitter. That's the whole point. This glitter did the complete opposite.
Okay, she's gonna say that this glitter is working like a black hole that traps light.
It was as if it was eating up the light. It was weird to look at. I've seen pictures of the world's blackest paint on Instagram. It was like that, but it wasn't black. I would like to say it was dim white or semi-transparent, but it was hard to tell.
And this is what I'm talking about with these drones that my friend's seen. Same thing.
Hard to focus on. An unreal material. It got even stranger when I was talking about the product with the morning team a few days in. They showed me that the product, when wet, becomes completely invisible. You know those clear glass balls on YouTube? that just disappears when they fill up the jug with water. Exactly like that.
So that's exactly what my friend's seen when those drones enter the water.
Okay, so glitter that eats light and becomes invisible when wet. That's 70% of our total product output every year. Then it happened.
Okay, folks.
So somebody is buying a lot of that stuff.
Between the lady and the handwritten letter for dramatic effect. We all know why you were here, so I will stop talking now. The final part of the glitter story, let's go. Dear Patricia, you are my last letter. I have now written about what I know to several people in Congress, the Department of Justice, the Inspector General, and our own Governor Phil Murphy. My doctor and some rather unpleasant test results informed me that my time in this realm was up, and the hospital bed I have occupied for the last few days seems to agree. I'm closing my books, and you are now a part of this man's sentiment.
Okay, so that was the same part that I played before, because I thought that was important for you to hear again.
I'm glad you made it out. We were never a glitter company. We are an advanced materials and precision company. Our history goes back to the Manhattan Project in 1945. We solved the atomic bomb, and our accomplishments since then have not been less impactful. We are a manufacturer of impossible materials for the private military industry. We did nanomaterials long before 81, when the rest of the world just knew them in theory. And we produced the first electromagnetic metamaterials in 91, 14 years before the rest of the scientific community discovered how. And I want you to know that all of that is kosher. It's, let's say, in the realm of what is to be expected and accepted.
So I just want to play that again because that's so highly important in this story. And then what happens is this lady is figuring out that all these people are going through all these mood swings and acting all crazy, and she thinks that they might be affected by what they're working with. Basically, they're using these people as test subjects to see how their product is affecting them, and then they're just doing away with them or something at the end. It's pretty weird.
It's something that affects all 3 shifts, and I don't know what to do. He listened in silence and said, "It's part of the job as a manager. It will pass. Get some sleep, and it will be a new day tomorrow." We hung up, and just a few seconds later, it hit me. They all said the phrase, "It will pass." He knew.
You see, Patricia, in 2010, we created another impossible material. We solved a problem for a pharmaceutical application owned by a military contractor. In short, we created a series of beautiful state-shifting polymer alloys, each with different light refraction indexes to make it match its different delivery mediums. The impossible part of the new material was that it inherently has a stable synthesis with dendrimers. Dendrimers are an amazing pharmaceutical invention, a self-assembling nanostructure that both enhances the bioavailability and delivers the intended drug to the exact right receptors in the body. Like small worker ants, carrying the needed molecules to the location in distress.
So who knows what they're putting this stuff in? I mean, they could be putting it in the chemtrails or the food, or who knows? Anything's possible.
They are fully hydrophilic, meaning they can make any drug solvable in water, and they keep both their structure and properties while being submerged in water at the same time. You could explain it as that our alloy is sticky for the dendrimers, and our world-class precision cutting skills let us create dry sheets, granules, glitter, or fine glitter of ready-to-deploy smart nano drug delivery systems. World-changing, of course, but just another Wednesday. answered. It could be the world's most effective Advil, or something way more nefarious. And soon we understood that it was the last alternative. It was nefarious.
I kept my head down. The teams were miserable, and it was starting to get to me.
So that's what's going on with this whole thing, and this is all taking place supposedly in New Jersey. And there's hires up that have been warned about this situation. So that's what I wanted to show for y'all. This is how this whole stuff is working. It's being done with these exotic materials. And the private military contractors are the ones that are doing it. So when the government says that all this stuff isn't theirs, this is who they're implying owns it. Because you can't FOIA or get a Freedom of Information request to private companies. It's only dealing with the government. That's the only people that you can FOIA for the Freedom of Information Act. So that's how they're doing this. Everything's capped. Everything's a cover story, and then they're working on the real stuff behind the scenes. So I want to show you how all this ties into MH370, how it ties into Rogers City, and all the stuff that I've seen here. I've seen the disappearing jets. I've seen orbs of different colors at close range, and all the craft that I've seen go by here. There's just a lot of activity in the area. So I'm gonna keep y'all up to date on what's going on. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen my other videos, please check them out. Peace.